Do you love coffee and would you like to try coffee roasting at home? It doesn't need to be too expensive or complicated. We get our home coffee roaster for less than 20 bucks. Hey guys, Alex from European Coffee Trip, and as any coffee lover and coffee geek, I always wanted to learn how to roast coffee. I was lucky to observe many specialty coffee roasters at work, but roasting coffee on my own was always my big dream. In this video, we'll explain what green, unroasted or also called raw coffee is and where to buy it, and we'll help you to pick the home coffee roasting machine that is relatively cheap. Then we'll show you how we roast coffee using a popcorn popper that you might actually have at home already. At the end of this video, I will share some extra learning material and also some more advanced home coffee roasters that are perhaps also more expensive, but might be a good option for you in the next step. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with a simple question. Why to roast coffee at home? I think there are many good answers, but for me, there are 4 main reasons. You learn about coffee in a fun way. Roasting coffee on your own pushes you to learn more about coffee origins, chemistry, but also about coffee brewing. You will always drink fresh coffee. Since coffee ages much slower in a raw form and you will roast in small batches, you will have always some fresh coffee on your shelf. You can roast to your taste preference, filter or espresso, light or dark. All of us have a slightly different taste preference, and even your favorite roaster might not always meet your expectations. It's cheaper. Perhaps not at the very beginning when you invest in the equipment and also you buy coffee in small quantities, but later on you recognize the difference. If you can relate to one or more points, you are ready to go ahead with this video. We are not professional coffee roasters, so we are making this video having a beginner in mind, since we are just more advanced beginners ourselves. Coffee roasting is simple, but not easy. There are few things that you need to learn, but it doesn't need to be intimidating. There are 2 questions I want to answer before we will roast coffee together. What is green coffee and where to buy it? And what is a good home coffee roaster for beginners? Okay, so this is a green coffee bean. At this very moment, it's very hard and dense. You could hardly grind it or extract any flavor from it. It's actually seed of a coffee cherry that is produced on a coffee tree that in our case grew in Colombia. When a coffee cherry is ripe, at least for specialty or high-grade coffee, it's picked, processed, dried, packed and shipped to Europe. The real challenge for home roasters is the fact that the regular green coffee bags are 20, 50 or 60 kilos. That's not what you buy if you just want to give it a try, right? So what are your options to buy a small batch of green coffee? Say 200 grams, half a kilo or a kilo. If you are in the US, you are lucky because Sweet Maria's is an amazing place for buying small batches of green coffee and learning all about home roasting machines and craft of roasting. At the time of filming, they had a selection of over 60 coffees in stock. In Europe, things are a little more complicated. We get our green coffee beans from Georgi at Caventura in Germany. You can buy a home roaster starter kit for 29 euros that includes a popcorn popper, 250 grams of green coffee and 100 grams of roasted coffee for your reference. That's what we got for this video. Another tips for buying small batches of green coffee in Europe online are Has Bean in the UK, where you can buy most of their coffees also in a raw form, and Roastables in Germany. My ultimate recommendation though is asking your favorite local coffee roaster. Most of them don't officially sell green coffee for customers, but if you are a regular and explain your aim to learn more about coffee, I think there is a big chance they will sell or give away a sample of their raw coffee beans. Perhaps they will add you also some extra learning tips and you can compare your home roast to their official one. So give it a try and have fun. Now, I will give you a quick overview of the most common ways how you can start coffee roasting at home, and I will also explain why we picked to use a popcorn popper for this video. Once you have green coffee beans, you can really start straight away in your kitchen with no extra cost. Your options are an oven or stovetop, and then you have a dedicated roasting machine that starts at about $150 to $200 and it goes to thousands. I will share some of the popular machines at the end of this video. Even though I did my first coffee roasting on a stovetop using a regular pan, Now, I believe the best option for the beginners is an electric popcorn popper. The problem with both oven and pan roasting is that it's quite difficult to agitate coffee beans so you don't burn them or roast them unevenly. I think it's almost impossible to do it in the oven, to be honest. You have a better chance on the stovetop, yet it will take practice to do it right, and you will need to keep stirring and rotating coffee beans all the time. For a stovetop, you can buy a tool like Stovepop or Nuvo. That makes it much easier to agitate coffee beans during roasting. You feel much more in control of the process, yet you will keep moving all the time. What I like about the electric popcorn popper is that it automates the process. Hot air keeps coffee beans in constant motion, so you can focus on a visual control of roasting, which means picking the desired roast color, and auditory evaluation, which means hearing the first crack. We'll use a popper from a German brand, Severin, and I saw that Nostalgia brand is a popular choice in the US. Of course, you can't control temperature, airflow, it's messy, and you can really roast only a small batch of coffee. All these problems are solved in more advanced and dedicated home coffee roasters, but for much higher price. Eventually, many of you will get there and buy more expensive home coffee roaster, but in this case, I think it's good to start small and progress over time. Alright, we have green coffee beans, we picked our home coffee roaster. Let's roast a batch of green coffee together. We actually went out of our studio because it will be quite loud and smoky, and since we are filming at the middle of the day, not all our coworkers would appreciate the smell. But if you are doing it at home, it's okay to do it by the window or in a well-ventilated room. Besides the popcorn popper and green coffee, we'll also need metal colander to collect a silver skin during roasting and to cool down roasted coffee, a wet towel to help us collecting chaff to keep the space relatively clean, a scale to measure beans before and after roasting, a timer to keep a reference about our roasting process. I will just use my phone, a bowl or tray to let the coffee cool down to a room temperature. I will start by preheating the machine. It will take about a minute, and in the meantime I will weigh 50 grams of green coffee beans. That's about the optimal for this popcorn popper. You shouldn't overdose it, which prevents coffee beans from moving inside of the hopper. Okay, our goal here is to turn green or raw coffee into brown roasted coffee, and now we are lucky because we have the very same coffee roasted on the commercial roasting machine by Georgi, and this will be our reference for our home roasting attempt. Now we are roasting and we can observe a color change of the beans. First from green to yellow and then to brown. Between 2 and 3 minutes, depending on the type of coffee beans, you will start to hear him popping like when making popcorn. That's called the first crack. Okay, so we are about 3 minutes in and I'm starting to hear some popping inside, so it's the first crack. Now we need to pay attention. From there, a real development of coffee starts, and it will take another minute or so to reach a light roast for filter coffee. Now we'll use our eyes and later perhaps experience to stop the roasting process and quickly cool down roasted coffee beans. Alright, so we are done. Now let's quickly clean it up. And okay, last important thing after you finish roasting with the popcorn popper is to cool down the beans very quickly, because they are really hot after you finished, and you need to cool them down quickly so they don't continue baking actually and developing some unpleasant flavors. Okay, so I put roasted coffee on scale. We started at 50 and now it's 43 grams. So we lost about 7 grams, which is 14%. And that's more or less the average, between 10 to 20% loss. And most of it comes from the water that evaporate. And there are some other losses like like these beans that are on the table right now, or the chaff that is all around the place. Now, if you want to roast another batch, it's good to wait 5 to 10 minutes so the machine cools down a little bit, because it's not really built for long usage. Probably it will break down anyway, but this way you can keep it alive a little bit longer. Okay, so we are back in the office. Our coffee is already cooled down. It's more or less in a room temperature and it rested for a few hours, and now we can put it into the bag. And tomorrow it should be ready for brewing. If you are curious to know how our coffee tasted, so check out our Instagram page where we will share our tasting. I hope that this video gave you all the essential information to start coffee roasting at home. Let us know in the comments if you tried and what was your experience. Before saying goodbye, I wanted to mention some useful resources for those of you who want to keep learning right now, and I will list also some more advanced and expensive home coffee roasters for your reference. Let's start with coffee roasting online resources. There is Coffee Roasters Forum on Facebook with over 23,000 members. There is Home Roasting Talk at coffeegeek.com with over 67,000 posts. And there is also Coffee Roasting subreddit with over 28,000 members. Then there are coffee roasting books. There is the Coffee Roasters Companion by Scott Rauer, Coffee Roasting Made Simple by Raymond Fail, and The Atlas of Coffee by James Hoffman, which is not really about coffee roasting, but you need to learn a lot about coffee origins when you want to start roasting. And now a short list of home coffee roasters. There is a fresh roast that you can get for about $190 US. Then there is a Be More Plus roaster that you can get for about $449 US. Then Gene Cafe roaster for about $585 US. Hot Top Roaster Basic that you can get for over $1,000 US. And Ikawa Smart Home Coffee Roaster System that you can get for $1,250 US. It was a pleasure making this video for you. If you want to see more advanced yet very small coffee roasting machine in action, we made a video using Ikawa to roast coffee in our office. And if you want to get inspired by many talented specialty coffee roasters, check out our series. Now I'm looking forward to see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye.